If you enjoy our podcast, please like and subscribe and consider becoming a digital subscriber to the Albuquerque Journal to help us bring you more content like this. You can find this episode and all of our podcasts on the Albuquerque Journal website, abqjournal.com, as well as YouTube, iTunes, and Spotify. See the show notes for a discount code on a digital subscription. Thank you for supporting the Albuquerque Journal, New Mexico's leading news.
Howdy, everyone. Welcome. I am James Yodice. I am the high school sports editor at the Albuquerque Journal. Welcome to Preps Central, our high school sports podcast. It is Thursday. What is the date today? I don't even know. Thursday the 6th, I think, as I sit down and record the podcast today. We're going to talk a lot of high school football today. Playoffs for the 11-man brackets begin on Friday, 2A through 6A, and the smaller classes are into their playoffs already. So I've got a guest coming in, Sebastian Noel from ProView Networks. He and I are going to carve up the three top brackets, 6A, 5A, and 4A predominantly, as we look ahead to the next, 3 weeks and 2 days. We'll have state champions crowned on the Saturday after Thanksgiving, which is 23 days from now. So it's going to go fast. It's hard to believe we're already through the regular season. And at the close, we'll talk a little bit about soccer and cross country at the very end. But as we get into the playoffs, the 6A bracket went more or less as I thought. We had three teams from District 3 6A get into the top four. Las Cruces at number 1, Hobbs at number 3, Centennial at number 4. I'm okay with that. Cleveland, the defending champion, at number 2. La Cueva was a 5 seed. I don't think they were happy about that. I think they felt, being a district champ, they should have been a top 4 and gotten a first-round bye. I'm okay with them at 5. Look, the bottom line is La Cueva didn't beat anybody of note this year. They just didn't. It's not necessarily their fault. Other than Los Lunas, who's the number 8 seed, La Cueva didn't have a ton of challenging games on their schedule, and the one they did was against a team from Phoenix way back when. They had and the opening game loss they had, which was a 1-point game to Volcano, a game they lost 21-20. So I'm okay with La Cueva as a 5. Look, if the Bears feel like that was not a suitable seed for them, well, they can shut everybody up, including me. If they win their first round game, they would play Centennial in the quarterfinals next week. And we would see how that would pan out. So we've got 4 first-round games going on in 6A, 5A, 4A, 3A, and 2A over Friday and Saturday. The first game is going to be a 4A game at Albuquerque Academy between the Chargers and Valencia. That's at 1:30 Friday afternoon, which has to be done that way because the school has to get ready for the state cross-country meet, which is Saturday. So that involves a tremendous amount of manpower to get the course ready and get all the logistics taken care of. Most of the games, a majority of the games are going to be Friday night. There are a few stragglers on Saturday, but most of the playoff action in the 11-man brackets is going to be Friday night. Want to mention soccer real quick before we bring Sebastian in. We are down to the championship games in state soccer, which are going to be Friday and Saturday out at the University of New Mexico. I'll be out there for a good chunk of these games. Friday, the girls' menu shapes up like this. The 4A championship game is Hope Christian versus Albuquerque Academy. That's at 1 o'clock. The 3A game is St. Michael's versus Bosque School. That's at 3:30. And then the 5A girls' championship game is at 6 o'clock Friday, El Dorado against Rio Rancho. I'll be at the Hope Academy game early in the day. And then Saturday, I'll be covering all 3 of the soccer finals. The boys take over Saturday. We've got Academy and St. Pius. Man, love it when those two play. And those two went to penalty kicks last year. Academy won state last year. They play Pius at 10 a.m. in the 4A final on Saturday. The 2 preps, Santa Fe Prep and Sandia Prep, play at 12:30 in the 3A final. Santa Fe Prep seeded number 1. Sandia Prep seeded number 2. And then the last game of the year, 3 o'clock on Saturday, the 5A boys final. You have number 1, La Cueva, and number 3, Rio Rancho. We also have state cross country this weekend. Academy is hosting all day on Saturday from early in the morning to mid of the afternoon. If you're interested in the 5A stuff, Gianna Raymer, a kid who I just love covering and talking about, she'll be in the last race of the day at 3 o'clock on Saturday at Academy. The 5A races are the last 2 of the day. So you've got 4 classifications in cross country: 5A, 4A, 3A, and then 1A and 2A are combined together into one class. So Yeah, we're going to have a ton of activity Friday and Saturday. This is as busy as it gets for me, except for like state basketball tournament time. This week is about as busy as I am during the entire calendar year. So a lot going on. I should mention, too, our guest, Sebastian Noel, he and I are going to have our picks for the playoff games coming in the Friday Journal. I beat Sebastian in the regular season, but not by much. He won the last couple of weeks. So the margin was just a couple of games. So now we reset at 0-0, and we name a new champion for the playoffs, same as the teams do. So that'll be coming on Friday. I'm going to have a big football preview story coming in the Journal on Friday. It'll be available Thursday night for our electronic subscribers, and then you can find it in print on Friday. So, as I mentioned, Sebastian Noel, a longtime friend of mine, he and I sat down and carved out some time to break down the brackets, and here is my visit with him. Okay, everyone, as promised, here is my guest today. He is Sebastian Noel, the lead voice for ProView Networks, longtime friend of the program, even though we've only had him on once. We had a spirited conversation in the middle of the season, and now we're going to start carving up some playoff brackets. Good to see you, buddy. How are you today?
Yeah, good to see you. Playoffs are here.
I know. Very exciting. Maverick, they'll get started. The first 11-man playoff game will kick off at 1:30 on Friday afternoon. That's at Academy, between Academy and Valencia, which has to they have to kick off early because they have to get ready for the State Cross Country meet on Saturday. So they've got to do an early afternoon start on Friday. So let's get into it. Why don't we just start? Let me ask you this first. Okay, so if we start with the 6A bracket, what is your favorite first round game?
Ooh, man, there's a few that stand out. I mean, personally, I haven't seen La Cueva live in a while, so I'd really love to see what the Bears are looking like now, right? I saw them early, and obviously they had their scuffles early, but they're entering this tournament on quite a winning streak, right? A game that I'm doing on Saturday is that Carlsbad Rio Rancho game, and if Micah Takahashi's hurt, which all indications are that he is, we saw him in a sling at the end of that game on the My 50 game of the week. They're going to turn to an 8th grader at quarterback, so that suddenly makes that game real interesting.
Yeah, there are multiple teams out there that have quarterback issues. Rio Rancho is one of them. Volcano Vista is one of them. Piedra Vista is one of them. Los Lunas is one of them. We've got a few teams out there that are not quite 100% certain about what they're going to do at the position. Volcano has gone through 3 quarterbacks already this year. Same thing with Piedra Vista. Los Lunas has been bouncing time between Caden Reese and Luke Siermans. And Rio Rancho, the most glaring example, just because Takahashi brings so much to the table, especially in the running game. This is a kid that can get loose. So as I was thinking about the 6A bracket, I was thinking if I looked at one team seeded like 9 through 12, the team I thought that might have the best chance for an upset this week, I pinpointed Carlsbad at the 11 for very close to this reason.
Yeah, I'd be hard pressed to argue with that. Again, it's an 8th grader. He didn't look terrible in that game, but this is a playoff game. It's a different animal, right?
Yeah, and I have not spoken, as you and I chat, it's Thursday afternoon, so the playoffs will be kicking off tomorrow night. I do plan to talk to Coach Nate Pino from Rio Rancho before the day is over for a big preview story I'm writing for tomorrow's Journal to get more clarification on that. But, yeah, look, when Takahashi leaves the game, as he did last week, this offense just looks much different. I mean, they've got a good running back with Ethan Rolone, and they've got an alpha receiver with Parker Miller, who's as good, I think, as just about anybody in the metro area. As a matter of fact, I would say he's just about as good as anybody in 6A. He's big, he's got size, good route runner, good hands, great in the red zone. And that's a kid that Takahashi zeroes in on frequently in this offense. So now if you bring in a new quarterback in a playoff scenario, man, everything about the dynamic changes all of a sudden at the worst possible time of the year.
Yeah, and I mean, he did have a nice little rhythm going at the end there with Parker Miller in that game, so he definitely knows who he's trying to throw the ball to. But I mean, this is going to be asking a lot of him. That makes Volcano's situation even more interesting because Spirit Cook goes down. Their backup was, I mean, just as good, I would say, right?
We're talking about Aurelius Wiley, right?
Yeah, Wiley was just as good and just as dynamic. And then when they got down to their QB3, he shows you a lot that he's good at, and he's an underclassman. So,
And we saw him at the Volcano Rio Rancho game several weeks back.
So the depth that they have at that position, I think that they're the envy of some other schools.
Yeah, the most interesting game on the 6A slate for me is Piedra Vista and Las Lunas, and not just because it's the number 9 versus the number 8. These two teams played in the same exact round last year. Las Lunas blocked a late field goal that preserved, I think it was a 28-27 win. So on top of the situation at quarterback for Las Lunas, and I talked to Jared Howell, the Piedra Vista coach, earlier today. He's got to get ready for two quarterbacks. Caden Reese, the big lefty, who's a very dynamic running quarterback and a bigger kid. And Coach Greg Hennington told me the other day after Las Lunas beat Sandia that he expects Caden Reese to be back this week. I don't know if that means he plays or not. And then you have Luke Siermans, a junior. His older brother, Paul, was just a beast at the quarterback position for Las Lunas several years back. So Jared Howell now is having to prepare for two different quarterbacks because he doesn't know what Las Lunas is going to throw at him tomorrow night. And that complicates things for Piedra Vista quite a bit.
And those two teams traditionally play tight games, right? Piedra Vista is tough to get ready for. They're very different style of offense, and they tend to give Metro teams some very close games.
Yeah. So just to recap, we've got 4 first-round games in 6A. 3 of them are Friday night. The game I'm going to be at is Volcano Vista and Cibola. That's at a community stadium. Cibola, the 10 seed, making a return to the playoffs after many years with Coach David Howes playing Volcano. These two teams just played last weekend. Volcano beat them up 35-7. Dave Howes did not coach in this game, however, because he got chucked the week before against Piedra Vista. So Dave Howes will be back this week. You got to think that'll make a little bit of a difference. You have La Cueva playing El Dorado up at Wilson Stadium. La Cueva beat El Dorado 26-7 when they played in the regular season. Although I would argue that La Cueva has played much better football in the 4 games since then. Their offense has started to get rolling a little bit with Monty Melendez, their new quarterback, who's had just an unbelievable amount of pressure on that kid, right, Sebastian?
Yeah, I mean, to replace Cam Dyer, right? That's so tough. And the scrutiny of that position at that school, he's just quietly kept his head down, gone about his work to get better. I kind of commend him for his work.
Yeah, so El Dorado's got his work cut out for it with Charlie Dotson. And honestly, Charlie probably wouldn't have even gotten into the tournament. And I got to give you credit here, and mea culpa. You called Clovis beating Alamogordo last week, and with that win, that knocked Alamogordo out for sure. Charlie told me as much today. He said, we are not in the tournament if Alamogordo beats Clovis. Clovis beat Alamo the other day 48-43, I think it was, and knocked Alamogordo out of the playoff picture and elevated El Dorado into the field. So El Dorado's a 12 playing La Cueva, the 5. We have Carlsbad, the number 11, playing Rio Rancho, the 6 seed. That's the one game that's on Saturday afternoon at 1 o'clock. And then we have Piedra Vista and Las Lunas playing at 7 o'clock, I think. Actually, I'm not sure if it's 6 or 7. Apologies for that. Playing in Las Lunas on Friday night. The top 4 seeds were Las Cruces, number 1, Cleveland, number 2, the defending state champion, Hobbs, number 3, Centennial, number 4. It was nice to see 3 teams from that district get into the top 4. Not everybody is a fan of this, but as I reminded a couple of people, back in 2019, Volcano, Cleveland, and Rio Rancho all made the top 4. That year. So it's not unprecedented for one district to get 3 of the top 4. And I like seeing the Southern District so strong this year.
And it wouldn't be a bracket release if it didn't include a heated argument with James and one of his Twitter followers, right? And we got that again this year.
Yeah, even Brandon Back, the La Cueva coach, I think was holding out that as a district champion who has won 8 in a row, that they could be a 4 seed. I didn't see it. I thought Centennial was a just pick at number 4. I do. I'm not saying that as a disrespectful thing to La Cueva. They played great, and they've been playing increasingly better football as we're getting into the playoffs, which of course is what you would want. But I think Coach Ocampo's group, look, this is a team that played Cleveland pretty tough. I only saw Centennial once. That was a season opener at the Field of Dreams against Cleveland. They beat Rio Rancho. They beat Artesia, granted not a 6A team, but Artesia is a 6A program in just about every way except number. So Centennial had the resume, I think, to warrant a 4 seed. And they played, they lost to Cruces the last week of the season, last week, 31-21. That's as close as anybody has played Las Cruces all year except Cleveland. which lost to Cruces by 4 points when they played back in September. So I'm okay with Centennial at 4. And you know what? If La Cueva is unhappy or felt slighted by getting a 5 seed, well, guess what? If they beat El Dorado, and I think we all expect they will, they're going to go down and play Centennial a week from Saturday, and we'll just see how it pans out.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have an issue with it either. I think Centennial, not only by the criteria, but I think the eye test, I don't think a lot of people would argue with that, the number in front of them.
Yeah, and I think you and I are in agreement on this. Look, Cruces and Cleveland are just, oh gosh, they're just significantly better than the rest of the tournament. Do we know? You and I agree on this, yes?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, it's going to take something big from someone, whether it's La Cueva or Hobbs or Centennial or some other team, to get in the way of a Cruces Cleveland final. I mean, it's high school sports. You don't want to call that too far in advance. But look, you and I have both seen these teams. It's going to take something big, really big, to interrupt a Cruces Cleveland final, which, if it comes to that, would be up here in Rio Rancho this year, which is good. So let's move into 5A real quick. So the bracket had one noticeable thing to me, which was Los Alamos getting a 3 seed. I'll be honest, I would not have had a problem with Los Alamos at 4. I do not know if Los Alamos is the third best 5A team. It's hard for me to say. I did not see Artesia. I did not see Roswell. I didn't see Lovington. I didn't see Goddard. I didn't see any of those teams. I only saw Los Alamos once, just a couple of weeks ago against Valley. And it's a really nice team. They're big up front. They've got one of the best, if not the best, running backs in 5A in Jordan Herrera, who averages close to 200 yards a game. But as a 3 seed, I don't think I'm buying that. As a 4, maybe. I kind of thought they might end up as a 5, but they went 10-0. They ran the table in their district, and now Coach Garrett Williams will have that chance to show in the quarterfinal round, presumably against Gadsden. They'll have a chance to show themselves and show whether that seed was justified.
Yeah, sure. I mean, you and I have had this conversation. I know I am of the opinion that there's too many classifications, and the depth of this bracket shows that, I believe. I just don't see a wrench getting in the way of an Artesia Roswell championship.
No, I don't either. You can look at the results straight across the board. Those two teams against the other good teams in their district, like Lovington, like Goddard. It's hard to imagine, how anybody else can be there. However, I will say this. I wrote before the year, half tongue in cheek, that I wouldn't mind seeing a Southern team win the state title in 6A. I will also say here and now, I think it would be good and healthy if a team from this district, the Northern District, made some noise in the playoff bracket. That could be Los Alamos. You've got Belen playing Valley in the 7-10 game. The winner would play Roswell next week. Belen is the 7, and they're home tomorrow night, Friday night, against Valley. I would not mind if one or multiple teams from this district showed well in the quarterfinals. Even if it's not winning the game, I think it would be nice to see them go down and take these teams to a full 48 minutes and show off pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, again, I just don't see a lot of that happening. I mean, Valley's a 4-6 team. You look at their schedule, their wins. I mean, they have that win against Belen. They beat Capital. They beat Del Norte. They beat Rio Grande. That is not the resume of a playoff team, but it is what it is in that classification, right?
Yeah, and when Valley played Belen the first time, Valley beat them 25-22, which was also in Belen. Valley lost their starting quarterback that night, Jose Jaramillo, who the last time I saw Valley, he was still not back. It's going to be tough sledding for them to go into Belen again. Valley beat them 25-22 in the regular season. Now Valley goes back down there. Belen won 6 games this year, and it was just like 2 years ago, I think, that Belen struggled to win just like a single game. And now Kevin Pena, the Belen coach, he's got them playing some good football. No, they're not an elite 5A team, and nobody says otherwise. They're not pretending to be something they're not. But over the last 2 years, they've done a lot of good work getting themselves to the point where they got a first-round home game. They finished second place behind Los Alamos in that district, and they played Los Alamos to a 43-36 game in the regular season. So Belen has played a lot of good football, and if they beat Valley, it'll be them against Roswell. And we have another team here in the metro area, Highland, which is the 8 seed, and they're going to play a 2-8 Mayfield team as the 9 seed on Friday night at Milne. We saw this last year. Goddard made state as a 2-8 team. Mayfield made it this year as a 2-8 team.
I mean, yeah, that's and Highland's a team that's kind of limping into this bracket. They're real up and down. They were a hard team to figure out this year.
I agree. They do have a really good running back named Jose Tapia, who started the year hardly getting the ball at all. I mean, just a couple of times a game. Then he got hurt for several weeks, and then he came back in the second half of the season. By and large, he was terrific for them. He's not a kid like Amiri Mumba, a big physical running back, but he's taken a lot of the workload for Highland, and that has been very beneficial for them in their running game. Because look, if Highland can't run the ball, they can't win. That's it. Highland is not a passing team. They cannot expect to make any headway in this bracket if they do not run the ball successfully against Mayfield on Friday night. And we'll see. I mean, Mayfield's already faced some good running backs, obviously, in their district. So I'm on the fence. You and I have not even discussed our picks for this week yet, but I'm on the fence. I have not picked this game yet. Highland is healthy. Mayfield's 2-8, but they're obviously not a normal 2-8 team, so you don't really know how to treat them, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's those first round games in that classification are tough. Because
exceedingly tough. Yeah,
there's just some very inconsistent teams playing each other. So, and the thing about those games, when two teams that really aren't playoff teams are playing each other, one of them has to win. So it's tough to pick.
It is. We'll see how that plays out. So we're going to talk real quick and lastly about the 4A bracket. Not to gloss over the 3A and 2A stuff, but 4A we've got the 9-8 game here at Bernalillo tomorrow between Manzano, the 9 seed, Bernalillo, the 8 seed. Academy is a 5 seed. They're playing at home in the afternoon against Valencia, a team they've already beaten. Bernalillo, I would say 4A football has been by far for me the most entertaining of the 5 11-man classes this year. We had so many results where you were just looking at it like, how did that happen? I mean, we had 3 straight weeks in the second half of the year where an unranked team beat a team ranked in the top 5. We saw it with Portales. Winless Portales beats Valencia as a number 4 ranked team in the coaches poll. Then we had Academy, who was unranked, and you and I were there for that game, beats number 2 St. Pius. And then we had Silver, who actually I think might have been ranked 9th, but they beat number 2 Chaparral the next week. The 4A stuff has been really hard to predict, and I think I hope we get a lot of volatility in this bracket, because I think any game, even a 12-5 like Valencia and Academy, there is no sure thing in 4A football.
And you're right, James. In this bracket, it wouldn't shock me if Silver beat Grants. It really wouldn't shock me if Portales beat Moriarty. I'm not saying I'm going to pick that way, but I wouldn't be surprised if I opened the paper the next morning and I saw that. Valencia has a puncher's chance against Academy. I think if they can establish the run and limit the amount of possessions in that game, the Valencia has been a team that's shown some glimpses, and that 8-9 matchup is going to be real interesting, because you never know what Manzano team is going to show up. And then Bernalillo's defense is excellent, so they have a chance to shut teams down.
I swear I've gotten Manzano and Bernalillo wrong so often this year, and other teams in 4A too, but those two are close to the top of the list. I've had a hard time getting a peg on either one of those. Bernalillo has a lot of kids that made it all the way to the state semis last year. That should benefit them, at least early in the playoffs, I think. The winner of this game would have to go on the road to play Bloomfield, in the quarterfinals next week. But, if you're talking about this game, I'm leaning Bernalillo for 2 reasons. Number 1, defense, as you noted. Number 2, they've got a good number of kids who were part of that run last year that won a couple of games in the playoffs. And I think that's sort of an invaluable commodity to have in November.
Yeah, I'm kind of leaning that way too. And lastly, on St. Pius in that bracket, since the last time you and I together, we asked all those questions of the Sartans, and I don't know if they're big Prep Central fans. They might be. It might have been on a loop in their locker room, because they answered all the questions we had. Did they have the killer instinct? Could they start pounding teams? Are they going to put up some mercy rules? And they did all those things from that podcast to the end of the season.
Right. Credit to you. And you've seen Pius more than I have this year. I think I've just seen him the one time, actually, against Academy. But coming out of the Academy loss a month ago, then they went out and smoked Portales. Then they went out and 50-pointed Chaparral. Then they went out and really put it to Manzano. So, yeah, they appear to have gotten that next gear that you would want going into the playoffs. And, look, and you and I have discussed, look, St. Pius has all the motivation they need already as a team that went to the finals last year and got beat in a game that they were tied at halftime with Bloomfield. So, I'm interested to see what happens with Pius going forward. They look like the Academy game just sort of purged any doubts or any concerns they might have had. The Academy game in a weird positive way, purged all of that, and then they showed up the rest of the regular season and just beat the snot out of everybody they played. And we're talking about some good teams. I mean, these were not average football teams they beat. Chaparral was a top 3 team. Pius 50-pointed them at halftime. So, yeah, they have shown a whole new gear as we get into November. So I'm super stoked to see how that turns out over the next several weeks. And I want to make a quick note: the 3A and the 2A first rounds also begin this weekend. Hope Christian has a bye. They were a 3 seed in the 3A bracket behind St. Mike's and Dexter. And St. Mike's and Dexter were in the state final last year. They played like a 28-26 championship game. Pewaukee Valley, a surprising 4 seed. Usually we'd see like West Las Vegas or Robertson there, and it was good to see the Elks get on that 4 line. And then, of course, in the 2A bracket, we had a little upheaval. Santa Rosa was ranked number 1 almost the whole season. Then they lost a game at Raton. Then they lost to Legacy Academy 6-0 last week. So now you've got Texaco back at the top of the rankings. Legacy Academy from here in the Albuquerque on the west side at 2. Eunice at 3. We could have a Eunice Santa Rosa game in the quarters next week in the 3-6 line. So the 2A bracket's always a lot of fun to watch. There's some good teams there. Texaco's the defending champ and seeded number 1, even with 3 losses, which is unusual considering we had, I think, 5 or 6 undefeated teams last year when we finished the state tournament. And this year we've got just 2 left. No, 3 left. St. Mike's in 3A, Los Alamos, and then Las Cruces. So we're going to see how that plays out. And, of course, the 8-man and 6-man are into their 8-man is into their quarterfinals, I think, and 6-man into their semifinals. So we got a lot of football to talk about the rest of the month. But I want to thank Sebastian for coming on with me, and we may even get together the last week of the season, break down the championship games. So thanks for taking some time today, buddy. Good to see you.
Appreciate it. Good to see you.
Okay, that is Sebastian Noel, the lead voice for ProView Networks here in Albuquerque. Okay, I thank Sebastian for his time today. I'm sure I'll see him quite a bit over the next 4 weeks. Like I said, we have first round this weekend, quarterfinals next weekend, semifinal round in the 11-man brackets would be the Friday and Saturday before Thanksgiving, and then championship games coming the Saturday after Thanksgiving, 2 days after Thanksgiving, to close out the football season. So I hope you've enjoyed the podcast today. We're going to have a lot more to talk about next week. I'm going to have several kids, I hope, on as guests over the next week or 2. I don't want to give anything away, but I've got 4 or 5 athletes that I'm hoping to have on over the next 2 or 3 podcasts. I don't want to give too much away, but we've got some good stuff, I think, in the pipeline. So get out and enjoy the football this weekend. By the way, in case you notice, I'm wearing my Hawaiian shirt today, and that is because it's ridiculously stinking hot for the first week in November. It's like 75 degrees here at Albuquerque today. I'm very irate about this. Those of you who know me know I love the cold. I'm in shorts and a Hawaiian shirt. I'm wearing this in defiance of the weather. I can't stand this hot weather this late in the year. So I'm hoping we get some cold in soon. If it does, I'll bring in a sweater, a turtleneck, and do it proper. But for now, this is what you're going to get as long as the weather stays like this, so I apologize. But those of you who know me know I love to get my Hawaiian shirts on. So anyway, get out and enjoy the football this weekend. Lots of stuff for you to enjoy on Friday night. And we will chat with you next week. Take care.